it's really where you go on the internet to find out what's going on in the recumbent world. So, I mean, that's where I learned half the stuff I know, is just like logging in and going, oh yeah, right, that's it. So Bryan wanted to come and do some rides, and he's agreed to not only ride and have a good time, but to just answer some questions and see if you had anything to ask him and let us know what's going on. All right, Bryan.
Hi. Welcome, Bryan.
First of all, I just want to thank Rob for having me out here. And can't thank him enough for putting on this ride. Trust me, from experience, these are not easy to put on. Speaking of, I recognize a lot of you from our bent rides up in New York. Glad to see you all again. Apologize if you have to hear some of my bad jokes over again. I had an idea of what to talk about, and I kind of threw it in the bin on the way down here and decided to change my mind. So I think I'm just going to talk a little bit about Bent Rider and why we do it the way we do it. Maybe a little bit about how the review process goes. A lot of people ask questions about that, and then I'll just let you guys ask me whatever you want. For those of you who don't know who I am, I own Bent Rider Online at bentrideronline.com. It's a recumbent-specific website. We have about 25,000 readers right now, monthly. That's from all over the world, mostly, obviously, North America, Canada, and the U.S. Quite a bit from the Netherlands and Germany. And Japan, actually, is very high on our referrer list, but they don't post in the message boards very much. The site consists mostly probably of our message boards. At any given time, if you log on, there are usually around 150 to 200 people participating at that moment. We have almost 3,500, I want to say, members. It's probably something I should have checked again before I came in here.
Close to 4, right?
Yeah, it's probably pushing 4,000 members now. A lot of those obviously may be old ones that aren't active anymore. But we just added a new feature called a shout box, which is basically a chat room sort of thing. Had a lot of participation on that. If you ever have an immediate question about something you want a quick answer to, if you go on there and just ask it and come back and check in 20 or 30 minutes, somebody probably has answered it. And then we also do reviews, which is how I started the site. I was a sports writer for a couple of years and raced mountain bikes and road bikes semi-professionally, and enjoyed that a lot. And I started working at a recumbent shop to make ends meet, because you can probably say that not very well paid in the in bicycle races and all. So, you know, people think that you must be this glorious, well-paid guy. Unless you're national champ, you've got another job on the side. So, I started working at a recumbent shop for a while, and just kind of the bug sort of bit me from there. Had 4 concussions in the span of a year and a half, decided maybe mountain biking wasn't what I was the best at. So, and my first son was born about that time. So I quit mountain bike racing and started riding recumbents more and more and more. Basically, Pete Stahl, the Bicycle Man, which is a shop that's about 3 hours from here. It's kind of his fault that all this started, if you want to blame anybody. When you were a mechanic there and you built a bike, you had to go out and test ride it afterwards to make sure that it ran okay. And as much as I tried to dislike recumbents, they eventually started growing on me, and I realized, hey, these are kind of fun. I didn't have any health issues or anything, discomfort issues that made me go to recumbents like a lot of people do. I just liked them. I just enjoyed it and figured, if I'm not getting paid to do it anymore, this is what I'm going to ride. And from there, I wanted to be a sports writer and started writing about recumbents a little bit too. Started writing for Bob Bryan at RCN, Recumbent Cyclist News, which is an excellent magazine if you guys ever want to check that out. And wound up just sort of wanting to do more than he had room for. So I started Bent Rider as kind of a way to raise money to start my own print magazine. And since then I've decided that print magazines are a royal pain in the ass, and I don't really want to do that. So we've just spent the last several years trying to make Bent Rider to a point that it could generate some sort of a living. And we finally succeeded in that last year. I was in the U.S. Air Force for a bit to make ends meet, and I quit doing that. And now we run Bent Rider full time. It's mostly my wife and I that I do the lion's share of the writing. Larry Varney, who a lot of you have met, also helps me out a lot. Denny Voorhees, standing here, helps us out from time to time. And then my wife does a lot of the web stuff, makes it look pretty and stuff that I don't understand and don't want to know how to understand. Basically, what we've tried to create at Bent Rider, what I'm hoping most of you can see is, and it kind of happened on its own to a point, was we tried to create a real community there. I think a lot of the people on the message boards, I've never seen any cycling message board that has as much traffic as ours does. And I think that, I don't think that people are just talking about bikes there. And we have a private message system, people go back and forth. And I think it's really developed into a real community. I know I see it at the Bent Rides when everybody gets together. Everybody really seems to know each other, you know, and everybody really gets along. And there's lots of people that I knew for years that, like Mary, I didn't know you forever, and I finally met you at 2 Bent Rides ago.
2 days ago, that's right.
And there's just a whole lot of people there. And it was that way from the beginning. Actually, I started the site with a guy named Jose Hernandez, which many of you guys may know. I never met him until 2 years after we started the website. We just communicated via the internet the whole time. The internet is just such a great resource for recumbent bikes. We're a small niche. You know, we're growing, but we're still a small niche. We're going to be a small niche. And we kind of got to stick together. And I just sort of try and give Bent Riders a reason for everyone to stick together. And I'm not egotistical enough to think that everyone's coming there to read my reviews. I know that a lot of it is for the website, or for the message board, to talk to each other, and to meet each other, and participate in the shop box. And, like we started the Bike Journal Club, which is another great site if you go to where you can log your mileage every year. And we promoted it on the message board, and everybody got together on that. And we have the largest club on Bike Journal by, it's at least 3 times as big as the second largest club. Our mileage last year was twice as much as the second place mileage club. And recumbents are such a small niche. Obviously, everybody's really passionate about it. If we're out logging, you know, randonnée clubs in California that have 100 members, and we're racking up more miles than they are. Obviously, everybody's pretty passionate about what they're doing. And that's always just amazed me, running the website. And every time we've needed help from people or asked anybody for their help, they've you know, come through for us. And I think Rob and Alicia can probably testify to this too. We were talking about earlier today. You're just a great group of people, and we're all really happy to be involved with you. None of us are getting rich doing it, but we're really liking it. And I just thank everybody for reading and coming to our events. I don't know what all you guys want to know, but I know one question I get a lot is how we review bikes, how we go about that. To answer the question a lot of the engineering types have about, I get a lot of questions about, well, what kind of technical analysis do you do and things like that. I think we do more than a lot of people do. I know Larry also, we have regular laps, regular routes. We always ride the bikes on the same bikes. And we put in a lot of miles on a test bike. It's usually at least 200, 250 miles on a test bike before we write it up. And now, do I use power tap hubs to tell my wattage or anything like that? No, I don't. And quite frankly, I'm probably never going to. And if you think that bicycling or anybody like that's doing it, they're not doing it either. There comes a point when I have at least 100 reviews on the website, and there comes a point where you just have to read what the writer has written, and at one point just trust that that person has ridden a lot and that their seat of the pants is calibrated better than yours, or don't. That's just where it comes down to. But we do put the bikes through a lot. We've only made manufacturers angry a few times by breaking their bikes. So I crashed a Velocraft at 70 kilometers an hour. They didn't hurt it, but they still weren't too terribly happy about that. But yeah, we don't put the bikes through hell, but we put them through enough, I think. And I think what's more importantly is just the mindset we have when we review the bikes. And obviously, at my age, I'm a little outside of the bell curve of recumbent riders, so I don't only give good reviews to what I like, because that doesn't matter. I get that question a lot. Well, what do you like? What do you ride? Well, it doesn't matter. It's what you like. And I've ridden a lot of bikes that I did not enjoy at all. I wouldn't own one in a million years. But I could definitely think, oh, well, I know exactly the guy that I ride with that really loved that bike. And I know exactly this group of people that really love it. I know this purpose that this bike would be really good for. I think that's more what what we try and do in our reviews, and we try and use layman's terms pretty much. I'm not that technically minded of a guy. I made a joke with mess board the other day. I think I need to limit how much math is allowed to be put into a post. Because some of the guys, I have no idea what you people are talking about. I just kind of do the internet equivalent of smiling and nodding. You know, when you talk about drag coefficients and all that, I don't know what you're talking about. Rake and trail and all that, I don't know. I've written a whole lot of recumbents. I know it feels good. I know it works good. I know it works good for a lot of people. And that's just kind of what we go on. Other than that, what we have planned in the future, I guess probably a lot of you noticed we've started using the multimedia features a little more. We've started doing podcasts, which are little audio shows, which, by the way, you don't have to have an iPod to use. That's a very common misconception because it's called podcasts, which I can see why. But if you just have a QuickTime on your computer, you can just press play right there in the window and it'll play right there in your computer. Or you can, I'm sorry, I'm a Mac user, so I can't remember what it is for PCs. Right click to get the little menu to come up. You can right click and download it, or control click if you're on a Mac, or Apple click, whichever one it is, and download it onto your hard drive and just play it back as I think it's an MP4A file, which requires QuickTime. We've done a lot of that. We're flirting with the idea of doing some video. We wanted to wait a little while and see how bad the podcasts were on our bandwidth. And they're not that bad. So we actually just found a way we can host them off-site, so they're not really hitting my bandwidth bill too bad. What that has done for us, even if some of they're getting downloaded a lot, so I know a lot of the regular readers are reading them, but also it's putting us out on iTunes, which is huge, distribution software. And our traffic, since we started doing the podcast, has actually gone up about 30% on the website. So I think it's been a good way for us to branch out, if nothing else, and show that people were there and tell other people about recumbents. And I'm getting a lot more emails about, from people who obviously found us sort of by accident, which I'm always glad to see. And then in with that, now this is my full-time job. I kind of thought I'd have a lot more time than I would. So, because I don't know how I ever managed to run it part-time, because now it's my full-time job and I feel like I'm busier than I was in the first place. I've had to kind of adjust the amount of email I answer. So if you email me to ask questions, advice about a bike, you're not annoying me at all. I love those emails and I do love to answer them, but I don't have as much time to do that as I used to. I'm kind of set aside one day a week, sort of, to sit down and just do nothing but answer those emails. And I think that's working out a lot better. But I used to get back to a lot of you maybe in a couple minutes after you email me that kind of stuff. And because I'm kind of a slave to my computer, I'm attached to it all the time, so I even have my email in my pocket at the moment. So, but I'm just trying not to allow myself to do that as much as I used to, but I am answering those as quickly as I can. And please keep sending them. Don't stop sending them. I don't mind it at all. If I don't get back to you, I just apologize in advance. A lot of stuff was just getting kind of left behind, and we're trying to really increase the amount of content on the website as far as articles and stuff like that. So I want to focus more time on that and give you guys more to read. There's another interesting stat about our website. I just switched web hosts since if any of you tried to log onto my site around the first of the year, we had a big debacle with our previous host. I switched to a local host, which is great because if something breaks, I can go sit in their office until they fix it. So I like that. But I actually went down there the other day to pay my bill, and the guy who maintains the site came out and said, "What is wrong with people on your website?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "The average web user," I'm probably butchering the stats, spends like 14 seconds or something on a website that they're on. The average user on our website spends 4.5 minutes, and lots of them spend hours. Yeah, so it's what's funny is I know a lot of people are logging on at work, because if I do, I can tell when I log on. I can look and see if it's a shared network or something like. I can't remember what the wording they use for, but it means you're on a big network at work. And it's more than half of our traffic, so I will not be held responsible if someone gets fired. That's not my problem. So. Other than that, is there any other questions anyone have? Industry type trends or bike specific questions?
What percentage of incumbent riders do you think ride trikes?
It's grown a lot. I don't know what the percentage be right now overall because trikes have to catch up a lot. But I know some dealers have told me last year, I don't know what your percentages are, but I know dealers told me last year that some of the dealers, half of their sales were trikes.
Wow. That's true here.
Yeah, I thought you were one of them. I know Dana out west said about half of their sales were trikes. They boomed big. I haven't really made a lot of calls lately. I haven't heard any trike manufacturers crying that they're not making any money. But I think they're still doing pretty well. Is that you're still seeing them grow a lot? Or?
Absolutely, yeah. It doesn't, it's not
Half
slack.
Track is doing well.
Yeah.
All has been done a great.
Yeah, everybody I've called is really busy and it's happy. So.
No matter how much you drink, you won't fall off.
Yeah. And it's a lot of it has just been, I think it's took a long time to get over the stereotypes sort of where they are scary to ride in traffic, but because from the person sitting on them, but once you've been out there a lot, it's not that bad. I've always found in most now heavy city traffic is the only place I worry about. And it's not because the trike is invisible, it's because the trike is invisible over the Cadillac Escalade that's sitting between you and that.
Yeah.
And I always ride a trike with a flag. I always will. And that's one. I don't use a flag on any of my two-wheelers, even low racers, but I always do on a trike. But I think when you're out open road, after a while you realize they give you more room because it's that. What the hell's that factor? And they kind of and as bad as it sounds,
I think it's safe.
I don't mean to sound the way it sounds, but you might be handicapped.
I guess I'd like to ask a question about your VROL, a number of them. You mentioned that Velocraft was not happy about your crash.
Oh, it's just jokingly. They were never really that upset about it.
They weren't.
No, we just shared a lot of jokes.
Well, I guess the issue that I'm interested in
Especially
is,
when I ask for another one.
Apparently sometimes you buy them, you purchase the
No,
bikes and resell them, or they're given to you.
No,
or
I would like to clear that up. I have never been given a bike in the entire history of mountain riding. I had two abandoned at my house once because the companies went belly up after they sent them to me. But that's the closest I've come. Why you see me sell a lot of the bikes is we have advertising to say, obviously, and especially with a lot of the European manufacturers, once they send a bike to this country, it's kind of a pain to send it back. So if they are at a point where they owe me money or they're close to owing me money, a lot of times we'll do a barter for bikes, which I really don't like to do. As Rob can attest, used bikes, you rarely make any money on those things. But that's why you see me selling bikes a lot. And also, I have no attention span, so I often buy bikes and think they're great, and a couple months later I want to sell them and get something else. So a lot of them are just my bikes that go through there. So.
Well, recently you reviewed B38 on
Yeah.
Tiger, and I put a
You
question.
can't buy it.
What?
You can't buy it.
That's right. So we're going to sell it because I might be interested.
That actually, that was mine. I actually ordered that. But yeah, I guess I try not to answer this, but I guess I will anyway, voluntarily. A lot of people always ask me what bikes I ride. I guess lately I'm in kind of an old school sort of phase, I guess, sort of a retro sort of thing, which is originally what my speech tonight was going to be about. Right now I ride two different Easy Racers models, and a Lightning P38 is 90% of my mileage. And I also have a Green Speed X5 trike and a Green Speed tandem. I need more bikes. But I had a cab bike Velomobile for a while. I just sold that. Loved it. Still firmly believe in the Velomobile concept, but my commute is up my stairs now, so it sat in my barn a lot. Never went anywhere, and I felt bad that it was never getting used. And a guy in Canada who owns Blue Velo is going to try to be a Velomobile dealership in Toronto, which would be kind of cool. I sold to him. He's going to have it in stock there. So if you want a blue polka dotted cab bike, it'll be available sometimes. But no, I've been kind of just in an old school thing lately. I like high racers. They're certainly great at what they do. I have some issues that don't allow me to ride them for more than about, I can maybe eke out 50, 60 miles on one, and then I start getting leg issues. So I've kind of gravitated towards P38. This one's actually my second one I've had. I sold my first one to a guy in Rochester, Mike Grisson. You ever see a silver P38?
He loves it.
Carbon cranks, that's my old one. And then the Easy Racers bikes, I just, that's actually what started the barter slope that I've slid down with having too many bikes. Do I have time? How much time do I have?
I don't see anybody.
Is anybody bored yet? You may have heard this story before. I think I might have told it in that review, but I met Gardner Martin, who's actually have a t-shirt on him. And he's definitely the most important influence I've had in my recumbent life, by far. And actually, we lost him to lymphoma, if I could, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society tomorrow. That's what took Gardner. Almost took Sherry Bernhardt, who's, you may recognize her name a lot from our site. But anyway, I went to, this is before I even started Bent Rider. I went to the Chicago Bike Show, and I guess it would have been '99. And I had the idea in my head for Bent Rider, but I hadn't started it yet. And, I went there to kind of talk to some of the recumbent manufacturers and see if they thought there was room for another recumbent publication. And his vision was there, it was gone. Bikey was there, he was now gone. And a lot of recumbent manufacturers there who were gone. I think Ryan was there, and they're gone. But I went to the J&B Importers booth, which is a large wholesale conglomerate that imports the Sun recumbents. And they had just struck the deal for the Easy One, which was an Easy Racers design that Sun bought maybe 3 weeks prior. So I never expected to see one there. And I went over to the J&B booth, and there was a Sun Easy One up on the thing. So I went over and I was looking at it. And in my defense, the J&B booth used to be often, people who worked there, I think were temps or something. They were always really younger guys that didn't, I don't think it's that way anymore, but I never had much luck at the J&B booth, I guess is the way to put it. So I went up to look at this bike, and someone came up over my shoulder and asked what I thought about it. And I hadn't broadened my horizons as much as they are now, I guess. So I pretty much derided the bike about, I don't like compacts, I have long legs, they don't fit me, I don't really think they're, they're slow, blah, blah. Didn't say many good things about the bike. And this voice over my shoulder proceeded to say, yeah, you're probably right, you got a little long legs for that, and you're a little younger than most. Compact wheelbase, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of just glanced over my shoulder and saw the badge said Gardner Martin on it. And I about fainted, because he owns the damn company who designed the thing. And he's, he was God in our industry. None of us would have our jobs today if it wasn't for Gardner. And I about fell over. And then he can talk to me for an hour and a half about that. Rider was really happy about it. Thought it would be a really great idea. And then I went home and I started Bent Rider, but I was too ashamed to call the guy for like 6 months because I felt so bad about having done that. And then he called me up in Florida one day and said he liked the site and appreciated what we were doing. And that was how I wanted a tour easy anyway, which kind of took me a long time to kind of get into those bikes. My friend Mark Cooper had one, and he finally got me to like it, forced me to ride it many times. I finally got so I liked it. And then we struck up a deal, and I wound up trading some advertising for a Tour Easy, and that was 3 Easy Racers bikes ago. Now I still own 2 of them, so I really like those designs a lot. Glad to see that Freddie Markham owns the company now. Freddie and I have been friends since before he owned the company. We've known each other for a while. He's a really good guy, and just glad to see him back in the industry again. He was kind of out of it for a little while. I went to Battle Mountain with him last year, which if any of you guys have any questions about. The World Human Powered Speed Championships, which if you've never been to Battle Mountain on Speed Week, it's an interesting place to be. So
take a gun.
Yeah, there's nothing to do there but shoot stuff, which I didn't know. And I'm not a big fan of guns, so I was kind of shocked at how heavily armed everyone was. But it was fun, and if I go back this year, I'm racing, because crewing was terribly stressful. You just, these guys go 75 or 80 miles an hour down this stretch of road called Highway 305, which is not 100% flat, but it's within the IHPVA rules. I think the IHPVA rules are 1.5% over a huge distance or something like that. And it's barely in the rules, but it looks pretty flat when you're standing at one end of it. But these bikes that they do this in are not easy to ride, because they're meant to go 70 or 80. They're not meant to go 2 or 3. So launching is very difficult. They have very tiny amounts of steering, because if you leave room in a fairing to steer, then you're sucking in air and it slows you down. So you spend all day preparing until evening. The wind kicks down right as the sun drops. So you're trying to rush in before it gets too dark. It's usually getting cold, so you're worried about fogging up inside the fairing. You're worried about dropping the guy when he starts. And you have one shot, and that's it. And you only have 6 shots all weekend, or all week. And, yeah, 6. And this was the first time that anyone can remember at Battle Mountain we had 6. Usually you get weathered out at least once. And Fred had 6 legal runs. And it was just terrifying when you're on the line, trying to get them off, trying to make sure nothing goes wrong. Did I remember to tape over the holes in the wheels? Because it's so many things you don't think about on a bike. Like if you don't, Sam Whittingham had a crash there one year over 80 miles an hour. And it was because he didn't put tape over the holes that, they have solid disc wheels. There's holes where the Presto valve comes out to inflate the tire. He didn't tape it over. And the wind and centrifugal force unscrewed the valve and inflated his tire. It's just stuff that you don't think about. You don't think, oh, I have to remember that stuff. So it's just, and Fred had a little, he'd done this forever. I mean, Fred set the 65 mile an hour record in 1986. So he's done this more than anybody. And he knows what he's doing, and I'm just trying to do what he wants. But he has a ritual that he goes by, and Fred's the nicest guy in the world, but don't screw with that. He'll still smile at you, but you know he's pissed. And we would run, like Fred likes to say, he's one of the older guys out there still doing it. He's going to take every advantage he can, and we ran an oxygen tube up into the fairing. So he had pure oxygen inside the fairing, and at launch time we'd pull it out and tape it over. It's legal. And I'll do it again. I'll do it too if I race there. But what it worked best for was actually could blow all, when the thing would fog over, you could kind of use the tube to blow all the condensation off. But it was, Battle Mountain's a lot of fun, and just what I can't express to you about, what struck me the most about it, it sounds like a little minor thing, but just the noise these things make. You cannot believe that sound when a bike goes by at 75 miles an hour and you're standing down there at those traps. It is loud.